Alfonso's here, the godfather of the game. Many years of wisdom, remember his name. Speakers on stage, they'll drop the keys. Unlock your power and seize the breeze.
In case they didn't know who I was talking to, this is Z. Carl Richards.
And I guess I didn't really introduce myself. I'm Carl Richards. I've known Alfonso for, oh my goodness, I feel like it's forever. Just different things that we've done through All Mondays and Toastmasters and different stuff up in Ottawa. But I've spent a good chunk of my life in broadcasting, but also doing speaker training and now helping people launch successfully podcasts that are heard all around the world. So
Amazing stuff. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. I'm having almost as much fun as you are having playing with real estate and turning the key every now and again. You know.
You know what? I love what I do. I love the people I meet on a daily basis. I love the new platforms that people are connecting on. I've definitely leaned into it. I'm definitely this is something very new and for me to be on so many podcasts and be going live and Zooms and connecting with people over Zoom. I'm on Zoom every day, right? And I never thought that would be my life. And always I thought, if you would ask me this question in 2019, I would have said to you, nothing can compare to life, real life connection. Nothing can compare to being on stages and connecting with people on that level. But then I realized, going through this, it was, I was just stuck in my old ways. A bit of it was ego, right? A bit of it was ego. And also I just wasn't familiar with the technology. And what the pandemic has done has forced us to embrace the technology. And now it's become a part of my life. And so, for example, in the last 3 months, we've connected twice over these kind of platforms, right? And exactly. I think I'm getting to know you better than I ever did, before the pandemic. And so what's going to happen, the result of all of these connections, when we actually see each other, Carl, the hug will be stronger.
I was going to say, that was a strong hug to begin with on the Monday stage back in, when was that, 2017?
Yeah.
I felt I had bruised ribs for a couple of days, which is, to talk about...
I'm a hugger.
Your bear hug abilities are right up there, and I totally appreciate that. But no, seriously, I am looking forward to seeing you in person, not just for the hug, but also I think we're ready for it. Not you and I personally, but I think the whole world is ready to get out and see people again. And I think this has been an opportunity, as much as it's been, in some ways, it's been kind of cruddy, but it's been an opportunity for people like you and I, like you indicated, to connect and reconnect and synergize and share and be in the moment and be real. Whereas before, if we were just relying on actual stages, it could be 6 months or a year or 2 years before we even saw each other again.
Or when we're seeing each other, it's always we're either I'm doing something or everyone's too busy living life, and now. I think the ease of getting on a Zoom call with someone just to talk over a few things, where before you would have had to gone for a coffee or a beer, right?
Right.
And I'm not saying that we shouldn't like we should stay away from the person to person interaction like live, but I think more communication will happen over Zoom. So when you do connect, that connection will be a lot stronger, and I feel that we're connecting more than we ever were in history. I think we're more connected now than ever in history. Now, a lot of people would argue, right? And that's the power of the internet. I'm sure that this is on my channel. People have lots of opinions. I know, but.
I'm going to have to go check out that channel and see what their opinion is of this recording. Anyways, I'm going to get to the recording right away because we are recording here on this end.
I didn't know we were on the podcast. I thought we were already on the podcast.
Well, we are recording on your end, but I'm gonna just do a quick throw to my big voice.
Okay, let's do it. Let's rock and roll with it.
I'm going to set up the podcast, and then we're going to have a conversation. And for anyone watching live, we're talking about expanding your circle of influence. This is how we do it live. So just give me a sec to do that, and here we go. Thank you, Matt. Yes, it's another edition of the Speaking of Speaking podcast. I have met so many great people in my life, and I swear I have connected more with people in the last 6 months to a year that either have never met and still haven't met because of the pandemic, or I haven't seen in ages, but I've seen them more and more often. And one of those is, I call him a dear friend, and he's certainly a huge influence to me. Alfonso Quadra is, he's known in different circles as different things. Let's put it that way. He's known as the ultimate entrepreneur. He is also known as the real estate guy. He has a great story, and I think he'll share some of his story today as we talk about expanding your circle of influence. Alfonso, welcome to the podcast.
Good to be here. Carl, I'm excited. We are on your platform. We're on multiple platforms right now.
That's right. We are also, as you're hearing this podcast, you're hearing the recording. As we're recording it, it's also being streamed live on Alfonso's YouTube channel, which we'll put those links in the show notes after. So if you want to actually check out the video or any of the other things that Alfonso talks about, we'll put all those links in the show notes for you. Let's talk a little bit about your story, Alfonso. And I know that it's a deep, heartfelt story. No one on this channel has probably ever heard it. So let's go back a few years to what brought you to where you are today. And I know we only have so much time, but let's hear the shorter version of Alfonso's, some of the struggles, some of the trials and tribulations, and how you got to where you are today. Just let's go back a few years to when Alfonso was, 4 or 5 years old, knee high to a grasshopper.
Well, I'll go back to where I was born. I was born in Central America, El Salvador. Before the age of 9, I was actually involved in 2 civil wars. One in El Salvador, where I was born, and the second one in Nicaragua, shortly after. So I was in 2 civil wars. The one that I remember the most is obviously after the age of 5. I remember being in a country where it was going into full-blown civil war, and we came to Canada as landing refugees back in '86, and that's a long time ago. And I remember coming to a beautiful country, Canada, being welcomed, and even at 9 years old, I could feel already the opportunity was in the air. I could feel the potential that was here. It's a clean country. You see the opportunities. Actually, that was the first time I ever saw a colored television in my life until I came to Canada. And so I knew there was something about Canada. The issue for me was that because I'd moved around from country to country, I'd missed a lot of educational opportunities. And so by the time I went back into school, I had a tough time integrating into the education system here in Canada. I was behind on a lot of my learning, and ultimately just became extremely frustrated. Something about school didn't resonate with me. Not that there's anything wrong with school. It just, for whatever reason, it just something didn't connect. And I ended up dropping out of high school at 15 years old, also leaving home. At that time, at 15, I became homeless, slept on park benches, banks, and I had a lot of dark moments. My darkest moment is, I've talked about it a few times on other shows and in other interviews. Panhandling for change on Rideau Street, downtown Ottawa. That was a really, really dark moment for me. But that's my dark moment. We've all had these moments. We've all had these moments where we just, we're just so frustrated, and we just don't know why this is happening to us. You can think of a dark moment in your life that you probably said to yourself, like, why me, right? Now imagine being 15 years old. You just don't understand the world. And in my mind, I thought, it was everybody's, the reason I was where I was is because of the way everybody was. So I was like, if everybody could change, that'd be okay, right? And so I had some really dark moments, and I had a life-changing moment at 17 when I became a father. And that was kind of the pivot for me, because I stopped blaming the world and I started taking responsibility over my own life, taking the control back. And that at that moment in my life at 17, being a father, looking at this little girl, her name is Talia. She's 26 now, by the way. It gave me perspective, and it gave me purpose, and it made me unstoppable. And so I wanted to make this little girl proud of me. And so I went back to school, got a job, $5 an hour, and quickly realized.
That was minimum wage back then, right?
Yeah.
$5 an hour? Yes.
So we're dating ourselves, right?
A little bit. That's okay. That's okay.
So $5 an hour, I quickly realized that it wasn't going to cut it. I mean, $5 an hour, going to school full time, trying to have a job full time, trying to be a provider. So I started a business, and I didn't have many skills. I was very much a culture. I was very much in the culture, the urban culture, and I used what I knew, about urban culture. Jeans, t-shirts, mixtapes, and I started selling those from my locker in high school. And I realized very quickly the power of profits, and what that could do for your life, and how easy it was to make profit versus getting a wage. And so, on a 10-minute transaction, I could make a $40 profit selling a pair of pants that I would buy for $20 at $60, versus going and exchanging 1 hour of my time for $5. And so it became very clear to me at 17 years old that I was going to pursue profits for the rest of my life. And so that's exactly what I did. I graduated at 19 with a vision, a dream, and an idea of having my own physical location. And I started that physical location in 1998. By the time I was 21, I had locations all across Canada, and ultimately fell in love with being an entrepreneur. And I'm like, I've made it. I've made it. 21 years old, you have you have a successful business like that. You're gonna get extremely excited. The problem for me was that I was very much a consumer. My mindset was very much a consumer. Can you blame me? I was 21.
True. Yeah. What do I need? What can I buy?
Yeah. So my mom, an incredible woman. She single mother, taught me many things in my life. Integrity, values. Taught me how to be a man, how to be respectful. How to carry myself in the world. But she could not teach me about financial literacy. She could not teach me about how to invest my money. And so at 21 years old, all this money that's coming in, I was very much a consumer. And then shortly after 9/11, which was the very first time I ever would experience a market correction, because if you remember, after 9/11, people's spending habits changed. Borders closed. Flights were grounded. People went in isolation, never left their house because they were stuck to CNN, and everything changed. And it was a bit of a bump in the road, but I was not equipped or experienced enough to handle this. I didn't know about putting money. Oh, you're supposed to put some money aside? I didn't know, right? The money that was coming in was all like going into cars and jewelry and all the fun stuff that you would buy at 21 years old.
Yep,
And so I almost lost everything, Carl.
Wow.
And I had a really tough time coming to grips with the idea that I'd built all of these things and then I could potentially lose it all, and this fear of ending back on the streets, right? And now I have this this little girl.
So you basically built an empire. Sorry, you basically built an empire, and was living off the the fruit of the land, so to speak, not realizing that, oh, something's going to change sometime, and you didn't know it was going to happen. No one could predict something like 9/11.
No one could
predict the pandemic.
Exactly.
Something happened, you weren't even remotely prepared, and
I had no clue. I thought business was always going to be like this, right?
Yeah.
I thought it's just this is the way it is. Like I just happened to have, stumbled onto something good, and then it's woo, like that's the way it was going to be for the rest of my life.
So what was the turning point, Alfonso? By the way, we're chatting with Alfonso Quadra, the ultimate entrepreneur, the real estate guy, chatting about getting to the point about chatting about the expanding your circle of influence. What was the turning point from there? Obviously, 9/11 hit, almost lost it all. What was the spark that put you back on track?
So first of all, that was a big awakening for me. It was like, whoa! I realized how vulnerable I was. Like, there's something to be said about being an entrepreneur, but you are also vulnerable to competition, new ways of delivering whatever your product or service is, the internet, all these other things, right? And so you're very vulnerable. And so, when I sat down at the edge of my bed one morning, and I was in such a dark place because I was like, it was like, man, I messed up here. Like how did I mess up? I got this little girl, and the reason why I wanted to do this is to make this little girl proud of me, and now I'm about to lose everything. So like, where did I go wrong? And then at that point, I started reading. Books about personal development, financial literacy. And then I realized my problem was, number one, I was a consumer. And I needed to change my mindset from a consumer mindset to an investor mindset. No one had taught me that. No one had taught me what to do with my money, right? How to invest my money. All I knew is how to spend the money. And that was fun.
Which you did very well.
I did very well, but it was very fun. But no one taught me how to invest my money. No one had taught me about financial literacy. And then I just became addicted to these books. And I realized the common thread amongst all wealthy people was real estate. And so I said, okay, the problem is, number one, I'm a consumer. So I need to shift from a consumer mindset to an investor mindset. That's step number one. Step number two is I need to create a secondary stream of income. You see, the problem was, and there's nothing wrong with being an entrepreneur or an employee, but when that employer no longer wants to do business with you, that's it, right?
Yeah.
You're on your own, right? And same thing as an entrepreneur. If you have only one stream of income, when the market changes, when competition comes along and they want to take you out, that's it. Lights are out. And so what I wanted to do is create a secondary stream of income that was indestructible, Armageddon proof. And so, I quickly pivoted. I went back and rebuilt my business stronger and better than it ever was before. But now all of the profits, I was going to now create this secondary stream of income, which was the real estate. And lastly, I chose the apartment building space because to me this is the most Armageddon proof business that I could see. And having gone through already a few market corrections and a pandemic, I knew that I made the right choice at that time. My name is Alfonso Quadra. They call me the Godfather of real estate. I've been in business for over 30 years, in real estate over 26 years. I built a multi-million-dollar portfolio. And now I'm going across North America, talking to people and signing checks. I'm looking for deals because I'm building $1 billion portfolio. Is that you? Let me make an offer you can't refuse. We just don't have enough information to make this decision. There's too many unknowns. And for that reason, I'm going to have to ask you to leave.
Yeah, oh, certainly. It's funny that you mentioned the pandemic. Speaking of something that's going to just, you talked about only having one revenue stream, and if you only have one revenue stream, if something happens, it might disappear or it might be altered and you might not be able to get something back. But with multiples, and that's something I'm noticing even as an entrepreneur, and I do a lot of coaching, I offer a lot of workshops, but you don't need to just offer workshops and do coaching. You can do other things and have multiple revenue streams. Not necessarily have multiple, although you can have that too, multiple ways of investing or multiple ways of, I know a lot of people who have multiple revenue streams, for example, in network marketing companies. And it's for that very reason that they have streams of income, multiply, coming from other places. So there's many different ways to do it. And you're right about real estate, and you're the expert. I'm not going to have a real estate discussion about you with you and try and outwit you or anything. But certainly I can see how it's done you very well, and it's made you a very influential person. I think through all of it, and this is where I want to shift to talk about, expanding your circle of influences. Through all of it, you've remained thankful, you've remained kind. Yes, you've had major stumbling blocks along the way, but you've also remained very grateful and very appreciative of the people that you've met along the way. And a lot of those people have become your circle of influence.
It's funny how life works in a full cycle, right? When I was 15 years old, I was homeless. I was panhandling for change, sleeping on park benches, downtown Ottawa on Rideau. And one of the banks that I slept in was a National Bank of Canada, right? The one that was on Rideau in I think it was near Kinnerwood, right? Rideau and Kinnerwood, if anybody knows about Ottawa. That bank is I don't think it's even there anymore. Oh, I think they moved it or whatever. But this is the old one. We're talking about, we're talking like 95, right? 94, 95, something like that. Or maybe even 93. I can't do the math right now. But, something really, really powerful happened to me. As you know, another stream of income is the speaking for me, right?
Yes.
I like to get on stages and inspire people, empower people, and change lives. And one of the clients that hired me was the National Bank of Canada, and they were doing a end of a quarter rally, and they had all the VPs and all the high level people in National Bank, and they hired me to come and talk about success to their employees. And so I get on stage, and and first of all, getting on that stage for me, it was like already an achievement, because, when I was 15 years old, I'm sleeping in this bank, right? Where, the employees were coming in, probably were kicking me out of the bank. We're talking about that ATM section, and I wasn't
Right.
literally, didn't break into the bank and sleep in the bank. But we're talking about that area where you go and get your money at night.
Right.
It's
Right.
warm. That's the purpose why someone would sleep there.
Yeah.
And so I get on stage and I say, guys, you won't believe it. Life works like this. Full circle. When I was 15 years old, I slept in one of your banks, and now I'm standing in front of you today, teaching you about success. And that's how I started that talk. People just stood up and started clapping, right? And this has been my life, right? It's full circle. I know the power of expansion, expanding your resources, expanding yourself, expanding your circle of influence. You always have to be in consistent expansion, and you don't even notice, even if you are, even a little bit every single year or every single month, that you're expanding yourself, you're getting out of your comfort zone. When you look back at yourself 10 years, and if you've consistently expanded and you've grown in that time, your circle of influence, anything that you do, if you're consistently expanding, when you look back, you are not even going to be able to recognize yourself, because that Alfonso that was sleeping in that bank at 15 years old, I don't even recognize that person.
Yeah, just a phenomenal phenomenal transition. And you're right, because I've done that. I look back even 5 years and go, wow, 5 years ago, I was employed. I had a job. I had a side business, but I still had a job. That I was smarter. I had a couple of income streams at least, but I don't have that right now.
Yeah.
That's not what I have now. I'm in a different place. I'm in a great place. I love where I'm at. But I look back and I go, wow, the things I worried about, the things I thought about 5 years ago, and you've probably done this too, looking back and going, you worried about at 15, where am I going to sleep? Where's the warm place? Oh, it's in the bank. Now, your warm place, I'm assuming, is in your bed, or it's in another place, because I know when we've been able to travel and go on vacation, it's in a tropical place where it's warm. So, but that's, the things that we look back on and go, wow, I don't even recognize that person, or I don't even recognize who that was, or where I was, or here's one, I don't even know what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you know what? Like, this is what I find, to think about where you're, like, sometimes the people get overwhelmed of thinking about, any sort of change in their life.
Yeah.
And, people have these New Year's resolutions, and the problem is, it's like people tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but they grossly underestimate what they can accomplish in 5. Because in 5 years, you can go through a full life transformation. In fact, your cells, everything in your body you're a completely new person every 7 years. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not sure on the science, but all of your cells, every single cell in your body completely has changed in the span of 7 years. In 7 years, you're not even you anymore. You're another person. And so the question is, who is that person, right? Who is that person, in 5 years from now? Like, what does that person look like? And then, reverse engineer and start now. Start expanding. Maybe it's like little steps, one step at a time. But if you take the steps and you get to 7 years, your life will be completely transformed versus taking no steps, having no expansion, going through contraction, being scared, fearful of taking any sort of action, being afraid of judgment, being afraid of what people will say about you. Well, I don't want to start a podcast because I don't feel like I know anything. I don't feel like I'm worthy, or I don't feel like I'm an expert at anything for me to even have the right to be able to interview other experts. I mean, these are things that are in people's mind, and this is why more people don't take that leap to get out there and start expanding their circle of influence. Because once you start doing it, people will follow you. People will follow your journey. I know some people that are investing in some of my investments now in real estate that were my customers 20 plus years ago, right? And so people are following, people are paying attention. Your job is to expand. And maybe it's just a little bit. But now, do it a little bit more. Be vulnerable. Get out there. Do interviews. Start a podcast. Start a YouTube channel. Put yourself out there. Start another stream. You have to be in consistent expansion, because if you're not, you're in contraction and you're going the other way. And so it's either you are growing or you are dying. You can't do both.
And you're growing. Here's the thing. You made the example of, we basically shed our skin every, and I can't remember. I don't know what the time frame is either. So don't quote either one of us.
Well, we got to be careful, because there's people that will let us know right in the comments. And if you guys know, let us know in the comments. But
I think it's every 2 years, but don't quote me
I
on
think
that
it's
either,
7. I think it's 7.
There's a reason why I'm not a mathematician. It's because I don't know numbers very well.
I think it's 7.
That to the experts.
Yeah.
But the point is that if you're in contraction, you're still shedding all of your cells and all of that every 7 years or 2 years or whatever it is. So you are a completely different person, but not everything is completely different if your surroundings and your situation is exactly the same. And if you haven't challenged yourself, I use the word stagnate a lot. If you're not challenging yourself, if you're in a comfortable place, and I think you'll agree with me with this, Alfonso, if you're not constantly, as you said, expanding or moving forward, or feeling a little bit uncomfortable, because it's change. It's always, change is constant. It's constant around us. We have 4 seasons, at least in this country we do anyways. We have 4 seasons, and sometimes we have leaves on the trees and sometimes we don't. That's change, always constant. If you're not changing, then you're stagnating. And if you're stagnating, you're not growing. You're stuck. You're in that place. And for whatever reason, and because I've been there, you've been there, you know what happens when you're in that place. And what does happen is you don't move forward. And then it's so easy to blame, as you mentioned earlier, it's easier to blame everyone but the person who is staring at you on the other side of the mirror.
Absolutely. And
it's very easy to say, it's not my fault. It's the way I was raised. It's my parents. It's my boss. It's because of the pandemic that this is not working for me. Whatever it is, the only person who's responsible for it is you. Now, there's some circumstances that you cannot escape. You can't escape. If poor health happens, okay, it happens. But you still are the creator, or the person who has the ultimate control over what you want. The universe will help decide the path. Don't try and choose it. Let the universe do it. But if you're not expanding your circle of influence and getting to know people, like for example, Alfonso. I met Alfonso, like I said, off the top. It was a fluke. I met him through Toastmasters, and then we reconnected again at a course that we were taking at the same time. And then we shared the stage at Mo Mondays a couple of times, and then we've just connected again. If we didn't connect and continue to check in and continue to find out where we're both at and continue to expand our circle of influence, Alfonso, I know, would be great, but I might not be. I might be in the same place, but because we're challenging each other and we're challenging individually as well, that's helping us to expand too.
yeah, I mean, you're expanding your circle of influence. You're putting yourself out there. You're doing podcasts. You have you have your Facebook group. You're providing value through that channel. You have all these platforms. You're a speaker. You're a coach in speaking, leadership, and so you are putting yourself out there. And through that, because not everybody's doing that, you start to expand your circle of influence. So that means you have more influence over more people, and so the business is coming to you versus you're trying to chase the business. And in order to truly do that, like you said a few things there. People have called me the ultimate entrepreneur, the real estate guy, the apartment building guy. I've done all of these things because I've consistently put myself out there. Behind me are articles, Reader's Digest, newspaper articles. This is before social media, of course, because now on social media you have the opportunity to put yourself out there even more. I had a television program at one point, and I've just always consistently been building my brand. And so people, when they look at me, they're not, the average call that I have on a Zoom, that someone reaches out, we get on a Zoom. This is the average sentence out of the average person that I get on a Zoom call with. Okay, you ready for it?
Yep.
Alfonso, I don't know what you're selling, but I want in. Right?
I love it.
And I've done that by design. I attract people through putting myself out there, being vulnerable. I have 600 videos on YouTube. And, a lot of people are scared to put themselves out there because you know what? We live in a world where everybody has access to Google. 7 billion people have access to Google, and they have the ability to share their opinions. And
Yeah.
not all opinions are valid, but they still have them. And I'll get all these crazy comments of people saying this, saying that. And then some people will say, well, Alfonso, how do you even like stomach that? You know, that would kill me. That would crush me if someone would say something bad about me. And the truth is, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not
True.
speaking to that person, right? In fact, I feel sorry for that person if they if they're in such a dark place that they got to be on my platform, you know, commenting on all of the videos, right? That's a dark place for someone to be in. But I'm talking to the I'm talking to you, Carl, because
Yeah.
there's some piece of content that you must have picked up and you said to yourself, hey, I want to talk to him again. I want to, you know, I want to see what he's about. I want to bring him on my show, right? And so that's attraction. That comes from expanding your circle of influence. And the reason why, you know, 96% of the people out there don't do it is because they're afraid of judgment. They're afraid
I was
about
just
what
gonna
other
say.
people are going to say. And so they never allow themselves to grow. And how are you going to have a business when nobody knows you or nobody knows about it? It's going to be extremely difficult, right? And so you
I
have to expand your circle of influence.
I was just going to say, fear is one of those things, and I've been there, and I know you've probably been there too at various points in your life where, now mind you, you learned some very, very solid skills at a very young age, you know, learning things in your late teens and carrying them through, you know, your 20s and 30s and into your 40s is phenomenal. I didn't learn some of these things until I was in my 30s, and I think that's where some people, they do what they're told to do. They say, go to school, get a good job, meet a girl, fall in love, and buy a house and live happily ever after. And that's the life that we think we're going to live. And when something changes that, we're put in this place of flux. We're put in this place of fear. We don't know where to go, and the fear almost consumes us. And I know I felt that way. But that's also, if I were to look back at Carl, even 3 or 4 years ago, when I had multiple opportunities, and you have probably seen them, Alfonso. I had multiple opportunities 3 and 4 years ago to go full time in business. I was too afraid. And I don't know what I was afraid of. I don't know what I was afraid of. If I was afraid of what happens if I don't have enough money, and this is where the brain starts to, you know, think of all the what ifs or all the excuses or all the, well, how am I going to's? And I dare say that's why I was stuck. Being put in a place though, like you were put in when your little girl was born, not so little anymore. She's a grown woman, obviously.
26.
But being put in that place where you have a decision to make.
Yeah.
I can be, you know, an award-winning dad, you know, a very influential person to this little girl, or I can be a dad that is the complete opposite, basically. That was a turning point for you, as you said earlier.
Yeah, and I've had many turning points, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, like I told you, in my 20s now, I built this business, and then boom, slap in the face. You know what I mean? Like market turns, and I'm always at a point of bankruptcy, right? Now I didn't go bankrupt, but I mean, I could have gone all the way if I didn't hold on to what I had built in the first place and change my habits, change my ways.
But you also, sorry to cut you off there, but you also faced whatever the fear was, and maybe fear wasn't thinking. Let me try that again. Maybe we edit the audio, by the way. If you're watching the video, we edit the audio. This is why. Maybe fear wasn't consuming you, but maybe there was some uncertainty, or there were things that you were going through in your head again that we have to make a change, and what's that change going to be? For me, it was definitely fear. And I look at it now and I go, what was I afraid of? and now I'm looking at it going, and whenever I'm faced with those feelings, we all get them.
Yeah.
Even the strongest people on the planet, even Alfonso, I dare say from time to time, gets those feelings where he's thinking, oh, I recognize that feeling. But Alfonso has been so good at training himself to, you know, be focused and be vigilant and, you know, refer to his circle of influence and expand it if he needs to, if that's what his next step is. The point I was trying to make earlier is you get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where a lot of fear, I think, comes in, and that's where the fear for me was, I think, back not so many years ago, where I was afraid to take that leap, and now I've taken the leap, and I feel so good.
And this is the thing, failure, expect it. When you expect failure, you're not. And by the way, I'm not saying for people to like deliberately fail at something, but know that nothing can be perfect, and somewhere, somehow, someone's gonna mess up, and you cannot. And by the way, it's okay if you're in your poopy place, but don't stay there so long. It's part of the journey. It's part of the experience, and you know that's the way I receive failure. I'm like, oh, won't do that again. Like let's go over here. Let's go over there, because you can plan everything. Like look, I did it like okay. I messed up in my early 20s. Like yeah, I spent all the money, you know, and I learned a big lesson. I overcame. I started to build and do everything the right way. So now I'm financially free. I'm married now. I'm in my 20s. Like I got married in my 20s. Have another little girl. I have the life, right? I got the family. I got the dream house, the vacations, the freedom, everything. And now I'm hit with a divorce. And so this is the next time life that says, boom, boom, right? And now I'm like facing a divorce and lawyers and things and assets and blah, blah, blah. Like it could really destroy someone. And you have to make sure that number one, you cannot live life and nothing's gonna happen to you, right? You learn nothing from winning all the time. And so it's only when you come up against these things and then you can find the goodness in it, if you can find the positive aspect of why these things are happening to you. For example, my net worth has quadrupled. I don't even know how many times X from when I was in my early 20s. So thank God I learned those lessons about money then, because now I can make better decisions and I'm more seasoned, right? I'm more seasoned. This is why I attract people to me. Someone asked me before, Alfonso, why do you share your failures? Well, I'm not embarrassed of my failures. Yes, I was homeless. Yes, I almost went bankrupt and recovered. Yes, I've been through through multiple market corrections. Yes, I almost went through a divorce. But as a result of that, I actually found someone in my life that it's like a match made in heaven, and together we've built even something greater and bigger. But I wouldn't have found that if I hadn't gone through my divorce. And look what came out of it, my beautiful daughter, my second daughter. And so you can't go through life expecting that everything's gonna work out, or you're not gonna try because you're afraid that something's gonna happen to you. Because if that was the case, then everybody would just be locked up in your house. Actually, that sounds a little bit like now, but nobody would be leaving their house, because it's like, you know what, you can get hit by a car, you can trip on the sidewalk. I mean, God knows all the things that can happen to you, but that shouldn't be the reason why you don't take a step forward. Because that's all you have to do, is just take a step forward. And what happens? You're gonna succeed, you're gonna take everything you've learned, and you're gonna go to the next step. Consistent expansion, consistent expansion. And sometimes you'll have to reconsolidate, sometimes you have to take a step back. That's fine, because your next step should be a step forward. If you fall down, make sure you fall on your back. You've heard this before, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that's what it takes. That's what it takes to continue to be in consistent expansion. Sometimes you're gonna get hit, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna go down, But as long as you can get up and keep moving forward, that's it.
I think those are great insights too, and I like how you made the comment about failure, because I think that's part of how we've been programmed, and there's a reason why a very small percentage of the population is in a financial freedom place like you are. It's because of fear. It's because of fear, and it's because of failure. We're taught that failure is bad. We're taught
look at school.
thing, as opposed to failure is a learning experience, which is what it should be.
Look at school.
Right?
We're graded, right? We're graded. And the people that get straight A's are celebrated. Well, I don't know what we're doing, but it's called programming, right? Because you're pretty much saying that no one should be failing. No one should fail once in a while, right? So you are not creating a nation of risk takers, right? If you can't, if you're just working off memory to get good grades. I felt all through school, right? Like everything about school for me was a failure, right? And I could have accepted that, or I could have take everything that I've learned and then put it to work for me.
And how many straight A students have worked for you over the years? I guess
I only hire straight A students.
That's great. You can hire me then, because I was not a straight A student. That's awesome. No, this has been a great discussion, Alfonso. Before I let you go, I want to be respectful of our time, but I want to just give you an opportunity to, if people want to follow up with you or learn more about what you're all about and what you do, what's the best thing? What's the best way to get a hold of you, or what would you like them to do?
Hey, you know what? I would say subscribe to my YouTube channel. Okay.
Right. Okay.
I'm giving free content. It's free subscription, as you know, right? And insights just like the ones that we've discussed on real estate, business, sales, personal development, gratitude, all of these things. I share a lot of myself. I'm consistently throwing up live videos, and we will talk about that podcast as well.
Yes, we'll take that offline. We'll talk about that for sure, because I think you have a wealth of information to share, and I think the world needs to hear it. And I know the world is hearing it through some of your portals now, but I think we can continue to expand that inner circle even further for you as well. So Alfonso, thank you. Alfonso, thank you so much for your time today. Final thought before we wrap things up from you.
Hey, in life, if you don't take risks, you can't grow. And if you can't grow, you cannot be fulfilled. And a life that is not fulfilled, to me, is failure. And if you can't be fulfilled, you can't be happy. And if you can't be happy, what are we doing?
Alfonso Quadra, expanding your circle of influence. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today.
Thank you, sir.
And remember, get out there and own the platform.
Let me sign up. Let me sign up here on YouTube.
All right, the recording is finished, and hey, in YouTube land, thank you so much, Alfonso.
Hold on. They got to see you.
This has been great. Oh, hey, there we are. This has been phenomenal. Thanks so much.
Where can they find you again?
carlspeaks.ca, www.carlspeaks.ca. You can also join the Facebook group. It's called Podcast Launch Made Simple. And certainly, join the community and let's help each other expand our circles together.
Woo! All right, guys. Well, with that, we will see you at the top. Join us for our 10th and biggest Expand Investor Conference. And this year, this November, we are doing it in Calgary, Alberta. Yeah! And it's going to be a big one. And I want you to go and get your tickets right away. Our Expand Investor Conference, our 10th edition of our Expand Investor Conference is happening in Alberta. Get your tickets right away.